Hey everyone, this is Scott from Forgot to Grow Up Podcast. Welcome to our first video in our ReWatching The Flash Season 4 series. I'm going to be rewatching each episode of Season 4 of The Flash, giving you guys my reactions and thoughts after each episode I watch, leading up to Season 5 coming out next month. So I just watched the first episode of Season 4 today, The Flash Reborn, where we get the Flash coming back from the Speed Force. I really enjoyed this episode because I really liked the way they tied in how to get Barry back out of the Speed Force from last season, and how they didn't make it super easy. He didn't just come out and, being his regular old self. They spent this episode having to, trying to figure out how to help him, and in the end, he just had to do what the Flash does best, which is save Iris West. But yeah, I just really enjoyed this episode because I love the Flash in general, but there's a few different things about this episode I particularly liked, which was we started off, we got to see Kid Flash and Vibe team up. I really like their dynamic. They're just both so immature and both just so cocky and arrogant. I just love that because it's just funny. It's like I'd probably be the same way if I had superpowers and I was 25. I get it. I connect with that. So I really enjoyed that element of it. The flying samurai in this episode is really cool, and I like that they have no idea that it's an android till the very end of the episode. They have no idea who the connection it is to make, but we get a little sneak peek at the end. We get to see a little glimpse of the Thinker, which I really enjoyed about this episode because it's just a little bit, but not too much, right? Like I personally don't know that much about the comic book history or the comic history of the Flash, besides like the generic stuff. But so the Thinker coming in this episode was kind of a deeper dive that I didn't really know, and learned about that through this season. Just really enjoyable. So that's what I liked about when I was rewatching this episode. You get that little glimpse. For those of us who have watched the season before, we know how he ties in. But I thought it was really interesting. I also like that they show the bus at the beginning when Barry's coming back into the regular world, and how they don't even really address it in this episode, besides you just see a bus when he's coming out and that's it. They don't address more, even though that's a big element of this season. So I just really like that, how well they played this episode in not going too far, giving us too many hints, just little crumbs, little crumbs of a trail leading us to where it's going to be going throughout this season. What some of the other stuff I really liked, I liked how they had Barry writing this mysterious kind of symbols and writing, and how they couldn't figure out how to translate it. And I'm pretty sure that comes in throughout the season. That's one of those things I'm forgetting about, which is why I enjoy doing these rewatch series, because it gives me a chance to think about these different little elements and trying to remember how they tie in throughout the season. Like this alien writing's from a different rewatch series, but this kind of weird writing that we can't decipher. I just really enjoyed that mystery of it, and that we have to eventually gets put together through this season, but I can't remember how it ties in or how it gets solved. So I'm really interested about finding out about that with this rewatching of this season. What else did we have? I just wrote down. I just like that. We see Caitlin having kind of a Jekyll and Hyde between, her Caitlin Snow side and the Killer Frost side. I really like that element of this first episode and throughout this season of her having to kind of balance those two sides of her. And I really like that we just get a little, again, my favorite part about this episode, what I thought they really did well about this first episode of the season, was they didn't give us too much, but they did give us a bunch at the same time. They gave us a bunch of little crumbs, but they didn't draw too much focus on them. You don't really realize when you first watch this season how big of a role some of these little crumbs play, but in the rewatch you realize, and you're like, oh yeah, I want to see how all these things come together to form the season. That is the season's plot. And yeah, so I really enjoyed this first episode. But what did you guys think of the first episode of Season 4 of The Flash? Did you guys like it? Did you not? Let me know in the comments below your thoughts. What were your favorite parts of this episode? But thanks for joining me today for this first video. I'll be for sure to be uploading each of the episodes as I watch them and react to them. Thanks again for joining me, and have a good one.